So the key to all of this is really just organizing everything, because there's a lot of functions you're dealing with. So you want to make sure everything is labeled really well. So we already talked about quantity and price, right? We've looked at the relationship between quantity and price in terms of like demand functions before. And here we're going to have X always represent the input, or always represent the quantity, and that'll be the input of all the functions. That way everything is based on one thing, and so we can work with the functions together, so we can combine them because they all have the same input. And then price, we've talked about before, is the price that we charge the consumer. So price charged to consumer, and that's per item. And then the revenue, how do we get revenue? And so that is the money that we collect. So collected from sales. And then the cost, so as consumers to us, usually like we think of cost and price as the same thing, right? If something costs $10, it's because it's priced at $10. But in this setting, the distinction is that the cost is the cost to the people that are producing the items, whereas the price is the cost to the people that are buying the items. So the cost is like how much it costs the manufacturer or the seller to actually make the items that they're going to sell. So cost C of X is the cost to produce the items. Come get notes if you just came in. Kyle. And that is not per item. That's like the overall cost. And then profit is how much the company makes from selling the items, taking into account how much it costs to make them. So our profit, which is capital P, I put a little line here to distinguish it from lowercase p because it's easy to get them mixed up, of X is equal to the amount of money we make from selling the items, so R of X, minus how much it costs to produce them, C of X. And that's your total profit. So we're going to do just one problem today. There's just a whole bunch of parts to it. So like I said, like labeling everything is probably the most important thing here so that you can find what you need in each part of the problem. We have so many functions going on that it's important that you find a way to organize things so that you can distinguish between them. So I always just make a list of everything, and that way I don't have to go back and like read through the whole paragraph every time I want to find something. I can just go to my list. So it says it costs $150 to produce a rug, and they have fixed monthly cost of $800. So their total monthly cost can be modeled by that function C of X, where X is the number of rugs. So X is the number of rugs. Our cost is modeled by C of X equals 150 plus 150X plus 800. And then we're told that in addition, Montana Rugs has found that the price they charge for a single rug can be modeled by P of X. So price is given by P of X equals 400 minus 5X. So now we want to find a revenue function. how will I find my revenue function? Yes, so price times quantity, right? X is my quantity, my number of rugs. And so R of X is going to be X, that's my quantity, times my price. So if we distribute and reorder in descending order, we get R of X equals negative 5X squared plus 400X. And I'm going to add that to my list. So revenue is R of X equals negative 5X squared plus 400X. So now we want to know what price we should charge if we want to sell 20 rugs each month. What function should I use? Yep, our price function. So we're going to find P of, well, our quantity is 20, so P of 20. So we have 400 minus 5 times 20, which gives me, what, 300? Good. So to sell 20 rugs, they should charge $300 per rug. And now we want to know the monthly revenue if they sell 20 rugs per month. So what function should I use now? R of X. Good. So what is the revenue? Tells me to find R, and my quantity is still 20. So R of 20 is going to be negative 5 times 20 squared plus 400 times 20. And I'll let you guys calculate that. What's our revenue? Yep. Good. So selling 20 rugs will result in a revenue of $6,000. And all of this is per month, but since everything's per month, I'm not writing that in every single sentence. So far, so good? Okay, I'm gonna copy my little list here. Maybe. Okay. That way we don't lose track. So now I want to know what number of rugs maximizes revenue. Which function should I use?
R of X?
Yeah, I should use my revenue function. Remember that anytime you're maximizing, the thing that you're maximizing is going to be the output of the function you use. So R of X has an output of revenue. Since we're maximizing revenue, we're going to use R of X. So this tells me to use R of X. I'm maximizing, so what am I finding?
Vertex.
The vertex. And then do I want the X coordinate of the vertex or the Y coordinate? The X coordinate, because it says what number of rugs, right? That's a quantity, so that's X. So we have X equals the opposite of B, so negative 400 over 2 times A, which is 40. So 40 rugs will maximize revenue. So now that we've found the quantity that maximizes revenue, we can find pretty much anything that corresponds to a maximum revenue, right? So if I want to know how much profit I earned when revenue is maximized, I would use X equals 40. If I want to know the cost incurred to produce the number of items I need to in order to maximize revenue, I would use X equals 40. If I want to know what price to charge in order to maximize revenue, I would use X equals 40. So this X equals 40 is going to be the quantity that maximizes revenue, and I can use that quantity in any of the functions because all of them use an input of quantity, right? So I can figure out any of these values corresponding to a maximum revenue. So if I want to know what price I should charge in order to maximize revenue, what function should I use? P of X, my price function, good. So I need to use P of X, and if I'm maximizing revenue, my quantity is 40. So I want to find P of 40. So P of 40 equals, where is it, 400 minus 5 times 40. So P of 40, is that 200? So to maximize revenue, they should charge $400, or no, $200 per rug. So now I want to know what the maximum possible revenue is. So what function should I use? Yeah, R of X, my revenue function, because I'm looking for a revenue. So I want the function that has an output of revenue. So I'm going to find R of, what's my input? 40, because that's the quantity that maximizes revenue. So R of 40 equals -5 times 40 squared plus 400 times 40. Come get notes, Levi. Which is what? What is it? 8,000. So the maximum revenue is $8,000. So far we're good? Is everybody feeling good about how to choose which function to use? Okay. So now we're going to find a profit function. And we've got not very much room. There we go. So to find my profit function, what do I do? Yep. So profit is revenue minus cost. So we have P of X equals -5x squared plus 400x. And then I want to subtract the entire cost function, not just the first term of the cost function. So I need parentheses around the whole thing. So minus 150x plus 800. So I'll distribute that negative. Minus 150x minus 800. So that gives me my profit function. I'm going to write it under here. Don't have room up there. So P of X equals negative 5x squared plus 250x minus 800. And then I'm going to just add that to my list. So P of X equals negative 5x squared plus 250x minus 800. Okay, so now I want to know what is their monthly profit if they produce and sell 20 rugs each month. What function should I use? Yeah, my profit, right? Capital P of X. So my profit function. So P of X, or of 20, right, is negative 5 times 20 squared plus 250 times 20 minus 800 gives me what?
2,200.
So selling 20 rugs will result in a profit of $2,200. Okay, but what about I? What function should I use there? My profit function, because the thing I'm trying to maximize is profit. So I look for the function whose output is profit. So P of X. I'm maximizing, so that means to find the vertex. And do I want the input or the output of that vertex? The input, because it says how many rugs. So it's asking for a quantity, which is the X value of my vertex. Good. So X equals the opposite of B over 2 times A, which is 25. So selling 25 rugs will maximize profit. What about J? What function should I use for J?
P of X, the price function at the top.
Right, so lowercase p of x, right? I want the price, so I'm going to use my price function. So find P of what? 25, because I still am maximizing profit, and the only X value that maximizes profit is 25. So P of 25 equals 400 minus 5 times 25. So the price is going to be what? $275. Good. So charging $275 per rug will maximize profit. Okay, what about K? What function am I using there?
Profit.
Profit function. I'm looking for the maximum possible monthly profit, which means I need something with an output of profit. And what's my input? 25, because I want the maximum profit. So I have to use the X value that will produce the maximum profit. So P, uppercase P of 25 is going to be -5 times 25 squared plus 250 times 25 minus 800. So what's the maximum profit?
2,325.
Good. 2,003. Did you say 2,325?
25.
Okay. And so the maximum profit is 2,325. So one thing that's worth mentioning about all of this is that, like, we would never give you, like, this problem on a test where you have one situation and then, like, A through K. Because if you made a mistake at the very beginning, that would mess up everything. So we would never give you something with that many smaller problems based on one thing, right? Because we wouldn't want you to ruin the entire test by making one mistake at the beginning. So what we would do is give you multiple problems like that just ask like maybe one of these things. But keep in mind that if all we ask is what is the maximum possible monthly profit, well, you need to build a revenue function. In order to build a profit function, you need to find the number of rugs that will maximize profit in order to find the profit. So like you basically have to do all of this stuff to answer one of these questions, right? You still have to write all of the functions in order to write a profit function, in order to do anything with a profit function. So just because we're asking about profit doesn't mean that you don't need a revenue function, because you need a revenue function in order to write a profit function, right? So you still have to kind of do you don't have to calculate all the numbers, but you have to write all the functions regardless, even if we're just asking you for one thing. What's up, Chloe?
So if it's on a test, would you give us like what the profit function is? Like not like the actual numbers in it, but like the equation, or do we have to memorize it?
Oh, so on the test, if you look at your review, that box at the top has it has this, and then it has profit
Okay.
equals revenue minus cost. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll give you that. So the box at the top of your test will have both of those in it, just in words. So yeah, when you get to problems like this, refer back just to make sure, even if you think you know it, like it's always worth like double checking. So now I just want you guys to find a partner or two and